Well, hello, and for once we are not in Ecclesiastes. We finished Ecclesiastes and we're now going to look at Colossians. In some ways a much simpler book, or at least simpler in the sense that it's very clear why it's there in the Bible. It is much more clearly. With Ecclesiastes you could sometimes wonder, what's this doing in the Bible? But I personally got a lot out of studying the book of Ecclesiastes. I hope you got something out of it. If you've been listening to the videos or reading the blog, I hope you got something out of it too. But Colossians is much more standard letter, if you like. It was written to the church in Colossae. Colossae was part of Asia Minor. It had been a very important city, but was now, at the time that Paul wrote the letter, was kind of on a downward trend. It was less important than it had been. Anyway, the letter was written by Paul. It says quite clearly it was written by Paul, and communications we have dating from around the mid of the first century reference it. Obviously there are always some who doubt it. Nowadays we say, oh no, it wasn't written by Paul. They've no idea who it was written by. I have no alternative suggestions. And we will assume that it was written by Paul, so there's no reason whatsoever to doubt that. It is similar in some ways to Ephesians, probably written a bit before Ephesians, but dates probably 60 AD, possibly sometime in the 50s. One of the prison epistles, i.e. written by Paul while Paul was in prison. Along with some other letters like Philippians and Ephesians. Paul hadn't founded the church in Colossae. Epaphras had done that. There's a reference, I think it's verse 7. We'll come on to that in the next video anyway. Who had founded the church there. But Paul had a deep concern for the city, for the Christians, for the believers. And it's got what's called a high Christology. Everything's about Jesus. There were the converts, the Christians in Colossae were being attacked by various false teachings. We don't know exactly what they were. We kind of infer what they were from what Paul says, so, i.e. indirectly. There's probably some early forms of Gnosticism and possibly some forms of Judaism as well. Philosophical Judaism. But anyway, Paul's answer is said, which he goes into more detail in the letter, which we'll get to when we start reading the letter itself, was, look, everything is in Christ. Christ is also, all of God's plans are focused in Jesus and founded in Jesus and completed in Jesus, which we'll see as we go through the letter. And there's also a lot of practical advice as well, on married life, children, work, and so on, and life in general, as we see as we'll start to work through the letter. So in some ways it's a lot easier than Ecclesiastes, and it's more, I don't know, it's not simple, it's not the right word. I don't think what the right word is, but more clear. It's why it's good for us is a lot more clear, easier to see. So anyway, we'll start with looking at the text itself in the next of these videos. Probably come out on Tuesday. But for now, hope you look forward to working through Colossians.